Hello, I'm Francie. I'm the maker of Lullaby Link's precious metal jewelry for wear with babies. And this video is to talk about inspiration. And one of my biggest inspirations is light. And I have a whole series, the Circle of I'm a little bit nervous. The Circles of Confusion series that is based on the blur of light in the distance. And I first thought of that inspiration for jewelry when my family was moving back up to San Francisco after 5 years in Southern California. We were driving back and forth across the bridge and seeing the city lights in the distance. And circles of confusion is a term in photography, and it's certainly something that's more pronounced in photography, but even with the naked eye, like just seeing the blur of lights, and I am a little bit vision impaired. I made this piece that, and I find that there's something beautiful about the imperfection, and I love photographs that have circles of confusion in them, and it's something where, from my understanding, you have to be either technical enough with your camera that you can capture these orbs on purpose, or sometimes I'm not very technical, but I used to do photography as a hobby. Sometimes you just sort of catch it on accident, and it's like the happiest little accident. So it's, I tend to be a perfectionist, and as an early mom, I picked back up my jewelry. I've been doing jewelry for several years and selling for over a decade. But I picked back up the jewelry making as a new mom because I needed something that I could control and that I could make perfect, because my life just, everything, like every shirt got spat up on, and it was just, I was feeling overwhelmed by not being able to have an outlet for perfect. So my jewelry was my outlet for perfect. And then I started making it in huge quantities for this business. And so coming up here, I started to think about how sometimes the imperfections in things are what makes them beautiful. So my first set of circles of confusion, I let it just kind of happen organically. If links warbled, that means that there's a thinning spot and a thickening spot. So if something is warbled to an extent that it's going to weaken the piece, then I always cut it out. But I just let them warble on circles of confusion and let it just happen and let it be part of the beauty. And I also fused in little silly circles in places. And I had this little tiny circle of gold that was left, like a leftover end of wire from another project that I had made that I just kept on my desk, and I probably had it on my desk for years. And I just threw that into circles of confusion, but I ended up liking it. It was like my favorite part of the piece was this little raw wire that I didn't fuse that would just kind of orbit around the link that it's on. And I just thought that was really sweet. So the second version of Circles of Confusion actually belongs to another artist. But that, I did a bunch of little orbits. And then after that, I ended up doing squares, and I did a whole bunch of different things. I even did octagons. But when I had posted originally the Circles of Confusion on my business page, a photographer actually said, well, you know that the technical term for that is bokeh. And I looked that up, and I found that I ended up just diving into Google searches and seeing all of these shapes, and that the lines in bokeh were sort of more interesting to me than just the orbs. So almost all of my like fancy special pieces are pieces that I make for myself on occasions when I'm like, I'm gonna take some time and I'm just gonna do whatever I feel like doing, and I'm gonna put materials into it, and So one day I really needed some time for me and to make something for myself. I don't remember why, but I made version 1 of bouquet, and this actually ended up being quite large. So apparently I needed quite a bit of time for myself that day or those days. And so on this one, I did the little orbits, and I did them, they're still raw, but I bent them. I don't know if I can really get them to show. I bent them individually so that they have those hard lines. And the links themselves are all octagons. But it ended up being a little big and a little heavy. And I realized after wearing it that I made this before, but not long before I made the summer set, which had the kites in it. And I ended up always wearing the kites because they're small and I could pair them with other things by putting a little clasp. I make these little S clasps, and I put those between, and it's just kind of more fun to wear a little collection of pieces for me. And this also felt kind of heavy. And the orbits are a heavy gauge, they're a heavy weight metal also. So then I had made an all links connection chain while I was in prototyping all the different things. I made bead backs, and I made just a variety of things. I used like stock chains in different ways, and when I didn't launch the business for 2 years. I was just testing out different things and exercising my perfection. But I made an all links necklace, I don't know exactly, quite a while ago, and it's been traveling around, and that one has infinities. I decided to make something to go with my bouquet centerpiece, and I went to make an all links that was a bouquet shapes. So this has different kind of organic shapes. It's silver and it's a bracelet that fits me perfectly. I usually, when I'm making my first prototype, I try not to use too much materials or take too much time. This is an exception, and it, like I said, it ended up being heavier and more than I really want to wear. So I made this bracelet. I love it. I super love it. I made 2 and sent another one out traveling. And then I made a full length chain with mixed metal that I also love. But while I was making this full length chain, I actually had the 2 bracelets here, and I thought, well, maybe I'll try connecting them together and putting it on a centerpiece. And the bracelets are about 8 inches. I do make them longer, but I found that the 2 bracelets connected together with a centerpiece, that's a 16-inch chain. It was pretty sweet. So I ended up making bracelets to sell rather than a full length chain. And I mostly wear the chain that I have on its own, which I like. And so I really still wanted a bouquet centerpiece because I think it's awesome. So I realized that the orbits on the bouquet also don't really totally suit it in that they are dull, and bouquet is all about light and refracting light. So I combined the lighter weight metal of the connection pieces and bracelets with the links, and so instead of orbits, they're actually or I guess they still are orbits, but they are little lighter weight links that go around that are all bent and individually hammered on the next piece. And right now I'm actually working on version 3 because I realized that looking at once I started kind of getting down the rabbit hole of like image searching the term bouquet, I found that a lot of the shapes are actually heptagons. They're 7-sided shapes instead of the 8-sided shapes. And so I started bending heptagons. So my this is version 1. I'm going to hang it so you can see just how large it actually is. Version 2, and now I'm working on an even slightly smaller, maybe, version 3 with heptagons. And I'm going to do both mixed metal and all silver. And I'm excited about that. I think that that is everything. I didn't show some of the other shapes of Circles of Confusion, the Circles of Confusion series. I don't have all of them, but they're fun. And I do love the little orbits. This is my full spectrum shapes. And I love the way that they move around each of the links and orbit them. So that's fun. I am excited to be starting this journey making video blogs. I feel a little bit like an old lady saying vlog, but I think I can get over that. And I'm excited to share my art with you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.